I was scared of the original cartoon. I think I watched it once and then I never picked it up again. I watched it for the first time in probably...
Rachel Zegler had no idea the role of Snow White would transform her from a rising Disney star to a full-blown internet battleground. What started with interviews and bold statements spiraled into headlines, backlash, satire, and now a scathing takedown from one of television's most infamous arbiters of pop culture chaos, South Park. They didn't just parody her, they scorched her. And with that, Zegler's already shaky image took another staggering blow. It all erupted when South Park aired its upcoming DEI special, a sequel to their infamous Panderverse episode. Within hours of release, Rachel's name soared to the top of trending lists across social media. Clips from the episode were dissected, remixed, memed, and plastered across timelines. The parody was ruthless. It portrayed a cartoon version of Zegler barging onto sets, hijacking scenes, and unleashing long-winded, preachy rants about how the original Snow White was a dangerous relic that needed dismantling. It didn't feel exaggerated, it felt eerily familiar. That was the brilliance of it. The satire didn't invent much. It simply mirrored, nearly line for line, things Rachel had said in real-life interviews.
Nothing has brought me greater joy than watching the Walt Disney Company absolutely
In one clip, the animated Rachel mocked the idea of true love and dismissed traditional fairy tale themes as toxic nostalgia. The jokes weren't subtle. They weren't gentle. They were pointed, calculated, and perfectly timed. For many viewers who had already grown frustrated with the tone of Disney's live-action remake, South Park's takedown felt like a satisfying dose of vindication. But for others, even those sympathetic to Zegler's more progressive intentions, it was a moment of undeniable reckoning. Rachel, insiders said, was livid. To her, the parody wasn't just a joke, it was a direct hit on her values, her integrity, and her efforts to modernize an industry still steeped in outdated norms. She saw herself being transformed from a passionate advocate for diversity and inclusivity into a cartoon villain obsessed with tearing down everything in sight. Her words twisted into weapons. Her energy recast as arrogance. Her intentions flattened into mockery. Behind the scenes, things deteriorated fast. Disney, already under immense pressure from other struggling properties, moved quickly to contain the situation. Executives reportedly held emergency meetings, discussing how to minimize further fallout. The first move was clear. Rachel had to disappear from the spotlight. She was told to go dark. No tweets. No stories. No appearances. No interviews. Disney feared that any response from her, no matter how thoughtful or measured, would throw gasoline on a fire that was already out of control.
The last time I had the dream, I was walking down the school hallway. And that's when I started to notice that something's wrong. Everyone I cared about has been systematic.
Talk shows were quietly cancelled. Red carpet events pulled. Even a rumored SNL performance was scrapped, officially citing scheduling conflicts, though everyone knew the truth. Rachel had become radioactive. Internally, PR teams scrambled to rework the film's messaging. Some whispers suggested reshoots were being considered. Others said entire sequences were cut due to growing tension between Zegler and co-star Gal Gadot. Reports claimed the two hadn't spoken in weeks. What had been a high-profile reboot was now a behind-the-scenes horror show. The timing couldn't have been worse. Bob Iger, having returned as Disney's CEO to restore stability, was now facing a brand crisis that stretched across Marvel, Pixar, and now its classic fairy tale franchises. Subscriber numbers for Disney Plus were dipping. Fan confidence was wavering. And now, the remake of Snow White, a film that was supposed to remind the world of Disney's storytelling magic, had become a punchline. South Park's parody didn't just mock Rachel. It mocked Disney itself. And it landed with brutal effectiveness. The satire struck at the heart of a larger debate. How far should modern reinterpretations go in rewriting beloved classics? Zegler's version of Snow White was rewritten to focus not on love, but on leadership.
On the original production, I was scared of it. Oh, it was so weird. It was a stalker. Like, I feel like if you...
Instead of being saved, she was saving others. For supporters, it was a long overdue update to a character born in a different century. But for critics, it was a swing so wide that it missed the very soul of the story. And South Park, never afraid to poke at the tension between progress and nostalgia, captured that collision perfectly. The episode sparked new debates. Was this about artistic freedom or disrespect? Were Zegler's words being twisted unfairly, or were they always out of touch with the character she was cast to embody? Supporters claimed she was being unfairly vilified for speaking her truth. Detractors said she signed up to play Snow White, not rewrite her from the ground up. One thing was clear: the backlash was no longer just about a movie. It was about culture, politics, and who gets to define the next generation's heroes. Rachel reportedly considered fighting back legally. Her camp began reviewing contract terms, specifically the clauses related to media support, visibility, and Disney's promotional obligations. Her team felt that the company had not only failed to stand by her during the storm, but had actively worked to silence her voice. Nothing was filed officially, but the possibility of legal action only deepened the fractures between star and studio. And it wasn't just Rachel facing the heat. Gal Gadot, once seen as a stabilizing force in the production, was suddenly dragged into the drama. Rumors suggested she had distanced herself from Rachel, disagreed with creative choices, and even pushed for script changes. Entire scenes, it was claimed, had been thrown out due to conflict. The once celebrated duo was now caught in a PR minefield. All of this was unfolding as South Park continued to trend. Clips from the DEI special dominated YouTube and TikTok. Side-by-side comparisons of Rachel's real interviews and her animated doppelganger went viral. And whether you were laughing or shaking your head, you couldn't look away. The internet had found its newest obsession, and it wasn't pretty. Can the Snow White remake survive all of this? That's the million-dollar question, or more accurately, the $200 million question. The film has already been delayed. Reshoots and rewrites are rumored. Its star has vanished from promo circuits. Its public perception is in ruins. Even if the visuals dazzle and the performances shine, it might not be enough to pull the story back from the brink. This isn't just about Rachel Zegler anymore. It's about how Disney, once the master of myth-making, lost control of its own narrative. It's about the war between honoring legacy and pushing boundaries. It's about the uncomfortable truth that in the age of social media, satire cuts deeper than ever before, and once the internet decides your movie is a joke, it's nearly impossible to rewrite the script. Rachel Zegler may not have asked for this. She may have taken the role with every intention of bringing strength, voice, and evolution to a beloved character. But intention doesn't always protect you from interpretation. And South Park, with its signature blend of sharp humor and cultural dissection, made her the face of a much bigger conflict, one that will likely echo through Hollywood for years to come. So what do you think? Is this just growing pains for a modern fairy tale, or is it proof that Disney has lost the very magic that made it timeless in the first place? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you want more celebrity chaos, media takedowns, and pop culture breakdowns just like this, hit that like button, smash subscribe, and turn on the notification bell. Because trust us, this isn't the last time South Park, or Hollywood, is going to light up the drama.